Good evening and welcome everyone. Wishing you all a very happy International Museum Day. Uh, we are, of course, aware that the word celebration must be used with certain trepidation now because of the challenges that exist outside in the country, in several of the cities. But I think in his interview yesterday, Mr. Mukherjee has already shared that culture is probably the only hope. And that's what we're doing this evening, listening to ideas related to culture. I have the responsibility of introducing our speaker this evening, Mr. Sabyasachi Mukherjee, who you all know much too well, but I'd still like to say a few words about him. Mr. Mukherjee, of course, is the Director General of the CSMVS, but he's also Director of the Postgraduate Diploma Program in Museology and Art Conservation at the CSMVS Institute, which is part of University of Mumbai. A frequent lecturer and a thought leader, Mr. Mukherjee is an active member of many professional committees, more particularly the BIZO Group, a distinguished group of American and European music directors. Under his leadership from 2007, CSMVS has undergone extensive modernization, including refurbishment of the museum's main building and the establishment of a conservation center, a new children's museum, an institutional archive, new galleries, and several educational initiatives. The University of Edinburgh recently conferred upon him the degree of Doctor Honoris Causa. He is also a member of the UKRI Research and Innovation. I now invite Mr. Mukherjee to share his thoughts on his recent research on the bust of Gandhi with the Churchill connection, but also say a few words about the museum and some very important milestones that await us. Mr. Mukherjee.
Good evening. Thank you, Jayati, for the introduction. I wish to thank Dr. Firoza Godrej, Chairperson, Museum Society of Mumbai, and our dear friend Brinda Miller, Chairperson, Kalagora Association, Kalagora, for their continued support and encouragement. Thank you all for joining us. Wish you all a happy International Museum Day. Can we have the first slide? The first slide, if you could see, provides the content of today's evening talk. I'll be talking 3 minutes about the significance of the International Museum Day, 5 minutes about the museum, and 30 minutes about the subject, the bust of Gandhi with the Churchill connection. Today is a very special day, 41st International Museum Day. According to Indian Museum calendar, it was first celebrated in India in 1980. The initiative started in 1977 when members of International Council of Museums, in short ICOM, felt first time that there was no museum awareness or culture in our country, and it is important for institutes to promote museums and highlight its activities. Unfortunately, there is no museum culture even today in 2021. So a handful members of ICOM then tried to describe the concept of museum. I quote, museums are an important means of cultural exchange, enrichment of cultures, and development of mutual understanding, cooperation, and peace among peoples, unquote. I wish to add a few more lines here. Museum culture is an integral part of human culture. It can transform our consciousness, expand our sense and sensibilities, sustain a sense of wonder along with this criticality to perceive the moment we are living in. So it is clear that museums are no longer viewed as merely repositories of antiquities and art objects, but as centers of informal education and also as civic space for social interaction and open space for conversation. Uh, Today morning, I received a call from one of my friends from Kolkata asking me a very funny question. Dada, today is International Museum Day. You are giving lecture on the bust of Gandhi with a Churchill connection. And I have a list of lectures today, at least 20 lectures happening in the country, in different parts of the country. And everyone talking about the future of the museum, reimagining museum, the adverse impact of technology or importance of digital technology. And why you chosen this subject? So I said, my subject is somewhere connected with the subject museum culture, and this is something you will realize when I complete my presentation. It is something to do with museum research methodology. For many years, people looked at us, particularly academic circle, uh, all our research extremely academic, more about iconography, historical significance, beauty, aesthetics, art historical approach. uh, but very few people, usually I don't see anybody talking about the journey of the object. uh, so for an example, we have a beautiful Aihole bust reliefs. We don't share the information how those objects came to the museum and who all were involved in its journey. And that is interesting. So this whole presentation, discovery of Gandhi's bust, an exhibition of Gandhi's bust in British India about the artist, will appear to you more like investigative journalistic approach. So he was very happy with that. Yes, Dada, that is true. Usually we read iconographic description and aesthetics, art historical study. Uh, before I touch today's subject, let me talk about our museum, the CSMBS. Can we have the slide? So there is a beautiful museum in the city and a beautiful building. Look at the building. The building is as beautiful as the collection. Many of you will know your museum is completing its 100 years journey on 10 January 2022. And this year, quietly, we celebrated 99th anniversary because of pandemic. We could not do much. But the journey was glorious, painful, and full of surprises. The origin of the museum, the history of museum origin, uh, was as exciting as the history of early 20th century Bombay. Uh, Perhaps you know, Bombay is one of the few cities in the country or in the world was built by the people, not by the kings or emperors. Similarly, the museum, CSMBS today, was built by the people of Mumbai for the people. And that was an incredible example of public-private partnership in early 20th century. The brief history, foundation stone of the museum was laid on 11 November 1905 by the Prince of Wales. And the Scottish architect George Whitted was selected in 1909, and the construction activity started in 1909, and it was completed in 1914. As you know, Whitted was known for Indo-Saracenic style, and this is one of the finest examples of Indo-Saracenic style in the city. And what is Indo-Saracenic? Somebody asked me, please, explain about Indo-Saracenic, and that is important for all of us to know and understand. Uh, Usually, we say it's a combination of Islamic and Western architectural elements. But here in Wittet's design, you get to see all five major religious architectural elements in this building: Buddhist, Jain, Hindu, Islamic, and Western. A symbol of cultural unity, and that's the beauty of this museum, and we all enjoy. Uh, Due to outbreak of First World War in 1914, building was converted into military hospital. Uh, it was, it remained as military hospital quite some time. And then in 1918, 1920, you all know, uh, Spanish flu uh, attacked, Bombay city, and the whole city was devastated. And this museum, which was named Lady Hardinge War Hospital, played a very positive role, like Kasturba today. And this part of history nobody knows. So this is something I would like to share. Maybe next month, CSMBS, a museum of many names. And finally, on 10 January 1922, the doors of the museum opened to the public. So that's the brief history about the museum. Now I'm coming back to the subject, discovery of Gandhi's bust. The metal bust of Mahatma Gandhi, securely positioned on a tall wooden pedestal and wrapped in a transparent plastic cover, was spotted in one of the corners of the museum storage areas sometime in April 2012 with a label tag stating that it was the work of Claire Sheridan, and that much information was available at that point of time. Usually, museum curators, museum directors, sometimes they go for treasure hunt and they find something. So when I spotted this sculpture, I was a little surprised why wrapped in a transparent plastic. Initially thought some Hindu or Jain or Buddhist sculpture, and as we unwrapped, we removed the plastic, and then we saw the bust of Gandhi, and there was three-line cryptic caption that read, "Bronze bust of Mahatma M.K. Gandhi, shows loaned to the museum by His Excellency the Viceroy, artist Claire Sheridan, along with the museum accession number 40.4." So then we understand this sculpture, the bust of Gandhi, came to the museum in 1940. So that was very clear. Our curiosity was aroused, and we wanted to unearth the provenance history of this remarkable bust, as well as the details of the English artist who executed it. Our search led us to an extremely strange story of the love and hate relationship that existed between the British officials and Gandhi. So this whole presentation, divided into three parts. First, I'll be talking about the discovery, and then the exhibition. There was a great exhibition under the Great Dome in July 1940, and about the artist. Can we have the next slide, please? The discovery of this bust raised two fundamental questions. Firstly, how do we find the provenance history of this bust? And secondly, how do we find more information about the artist? According to the short caption, this bust of Gandhi was a loan to the museum by His Excellency the Viceroy, Marquess of Linlithgow in 1940, and the Viceroy Linlithgow was in office from 1934 to 44. at a time when Gandhi was leading the mass movement and the All India Congress had launched individual Satyagraha movements in the country against the British Empire. And that was really, interesting. That the time, the background. Uh, then I started looking for some documents in our archive. We have created a very nice systematic archive for the museum, uh, where where you find documents about the museum's history, institutional history. So the museum documents mention that the bust had been received by the museum trustees on July 5th, 1940. And just 1 week before the proceedings of the trustees meeting, this is interesting. It's very clear the trustees of the museum got to know about the arrival of bust of Gandhi in the city, in Bombay. It says, I quote, the bronze bust of Gandhi presented by the Maharaja of Darbhanga to the Viceroy of India had arrived in Bombay, and the governor of Bombay had taken charge of the bust until the Viceroy decided where it should finally be kept. So this is very clear that it was acquired by Maharaja of Darbhanga and presented to the Viceroy of India. So there are questions, there are many questions. How Maharaja of Darbhanga acquired the bust of Gandhi, and why he presented it to the Viceroy of India? What was the need for it? Why the Viceroy sent it to the governor of Bombay? He could have sent it to Kolkata or Madras. We will find all answers in the next section. It is a mystery why His Excellency the Viceroy of India, Linlithgow, was gifted this bronze bust of Gandhi by a British artist, Claire Sheridan, and why he was in a hurry to send it to the governor of Bombay, the Earl of Scarborough. The Earl of Scarborough was in office from 1937 to 1943. And please note, the Viceroy of India was in his office from 1936 to 1944. And this gentleman, the governor of Bombay, the Earl of Scarborough, was in office from 1937 to 1943. And why they insisted public exposition? That is something we need to understand. Was it a part of British diplomacy or genuine admiration? Let's see. We do not know exactly, but references from different sources reveal that the Viceroy had had several meetings with Gandhi earlier and had developed a secret admiration for him. And it's a fact. He had several meetings with Gandhi, secret meetings, and many of them not recorded. The museum record mentions how British senior officials, can we have the next slides? Next, please. Can we have the next? The museum record mentions how British senior officials literally dictated the trustees about the positioning of Gandhi, along with other personalities. And this is something I want you all to note. And I quote from the document that the bust could be placed on view in the central hall of the building among the bust of the Duke of Wellington, Napoleon, and Lord Lamington. What a combination! What a combination! Just look at them. And you know, Duke of Wellington, Arthur Wellesley. He was former prime minister, British prime minister. I think twice he was the prime minister of Britain and defeated Napoleon in 1815 Waterloo War. And the Lamington, the bust of Lamington, he was governor governor of Bombay, and before coming to Bombay, he was also the governor of Queensland from 1896 to 1901, and in Mumbai from 1903 to 1907. Unfortunately, I could not manage to get the image of Napoleon, uh, but the information from different sources, I just try to explain the placement of Gandhi. Uh, uh, Duke Wellington on one side, on the right side, and Lamington on the left side, and Napoleon right in front of Gandhi, looking at Gandhi. The whole combination appeared to me, that all of them, having uh, military background, war experience, and here there is someone in the center, always considered as a symbol of peace and non-violence. So are they trying to learn something from Gandhi? Like, people around the teachers, sitting around the teacher. That is what it appeared to me. Uh, what was the thinking behind the display of someone who was considered as potential threat to the empire? That is something I could not understand behind the thinking, why they wanted, exposition, public display in 1940, uh, when Satyagraha movement almost, started, and Gandhi was leading masses, and Britishers, the senior officials, they are involved, deeply involved in this exhibition, giving instruction from governor's office to trustees. Let's look at, from the number of official correspondences, it is evident that the installation process of Gandhi's bust was closely monitored by the governor's office. Dian Bahadur K.M. Javeri, chairman board of trustees of the museum, then informed J.B. Irwin, secretary to His Excellency, the Governor of Bombay, of the date of the exhibition through his letter dated July 9, 1940. I quote, "I am writing to let you know that the bust of Mr. Gandhi, which was received at the museum on the 5th of July 1940, will be placed on exhibition definitely on Tuesday morning, the 16th of July, unless desired otherwise by His Excellency." Underline, unless desired otherwise by His Excellency. And the response of Governor Secretary Irwin conveyed the appreciation of the Governor of Bombay in a printed letter dated July 15, 1940. His Excellency is grateful to you for arranging to place it on exhibition in the museum on Tuesday, the 16th July. The exhibition was actually managed in less than 2 weeks. So what was the hurry? That is the question, and that is something we need to find out. The huge, the huge success of this exhibition was interestingly described in Simla Times in its July 31st, 1940 edition. And I quote, "Claire Sheridan's bust of Mahatma Gandhi, now standing in the central hall of the Prince of Wales Museum, Bombay, on a wooden pedestal, some 4.5 feet high." So they have taken the measurement of the wooden pedestal, and it's true. We have the original pedestal of Gandhi. All other pedestals after independence, museum authorities used in different galleries. We could not find Wellington's or Napoleon or Lamington's pedestal, but Gandhi's pedestal remained, and it is 4.5 feet high. Further, the statue was recently presented to the museum by His Excellency, the Viceroy, after it was purchased by the Maharaja of Darbhanga. The bust is attracting an unequally large number of visitors. Please note, the bust is attracting an unequally large number of visitors. On Mahatma Gandhi's left is a statue of Venus, and to his right of Sir Richard Wellesley. Mahatma Gandhi, in typically meditative mode, calmly faces a bust of Napoleon in the central hall of the museum. Unquote. Surprisingly, the description of the positioning of Gandhi's bust on display in the central hall of the museum slightly differs from the museum's original records. Yes, there was, some Venus in the center, so that was there. But Richard Wellesley, that is something I could not find. So we have to rely museum information, whatever available with us. It is adequately evident that colonial officials recognized the importance and stature of Gandhi. This whole episode against the backdrop of India's freedom struggle appears a little confusing to me. Now let us understand the artist, and that is also a little spicy, and I'm sure you all will enjoy uh, about Claire Sheridan. Who was she, and what was her connection to the former British Prime Minister Churchill? How Claire met Gandhi and convinced him to sit in front of ours. Just imagine, Gandhi went to London in 1931 to attend the first roundtable conference. Uh, he had extremely, busy schedule, and this lady managing time for sitting, and Gandhi agreed. Gandhi gave a lot of time, and that is very interesting. It is a fact that museum records were silent about the artist. There was not much information about the artist. Only one line, Claire Sheridan. Not much provenance history was available about this beautiful, expressive bronze bust of Gandhi in the museum collection. I was looking for some information from some corner, and then one fine morning, I received an email from Dr. Jonathan Black, Senior Research Fellow, Kingston University, dated July 13, 2017, who was doing research on Claire Sheridan and wanted a high-resolution image of the Gandhi's bust. And there we got to know some information about the Claire. And then we did, online research. We got in touch with some of the institutes. They shared some information. So we gathered, all information from different sources. And now it has been established that Claire was an English sculptor, journalist, and writer, known primarily for creating busts for famous cities and writing diaries recounting her travels and association with luminaries. She was born in London on September 9, 1885, and was a cousin of Sir Winston Churchill, the former British Prime Minister, with whom Claire had a very strained relationship due to political and ideological differences. Claire's mother, Clarita Jerome, was the elder sister of Churchill's mother, Jenny Jerome. Sorry. Churchill's displeasure and dissatisfaction about Claire and her activities were described in one of his writings, The Wild Cousin of Mine. We'll come back to this point later. Claire married Wilfred Sheridan in 1910, a descendant of the famous Irish playwright Richard Brinsley Sheridan. He was the owner of London Theatre Royal. He was a poet. Many of you know. I don't have to talk much about Richard. Wilfred, Claire's husband, was killed in battle in 1915, leaving behind a young Claire with two children. She was 22 at that time. In her darkest moments, she was supported by her friends, Princess Margaret of Sweden, Lord and Lady Mountbatten, surprisingly, was a good friend of Claire, Lady Diana Cooper, and Vivian Lai. In 1920, Claire was invited to make bust of Nobel revolutionaries in Russia. She accepted and decided to travel without a British visa. And there, conflict started between cousins. Churchill never ever liked or supported Claire's decision, neither her family. But she was determined to go. She sailed with a Russian delegation and reached Kremlin via Stockholm and stayed there for 2 months, creating busts of Lenin and Leo Trotsky and many others. In her autobiography, Naked Truth, he mentions, she mentions her interaction with Mussolini. And Mussolini was a very difficult person. I'm not getting into her autobiography, but if you find little time, please, read it. It's very interesting. And she shared everything. Most of Claire's works are now scattered in different institutions, private galleries and museums, including the Imperial War Museum, London, Hastings Museum and Art Gallery, UK, University of Oxford, and CSMBS, Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj Vastu Sangrahalaya, Mumbai. She wrote of her experiences in her autobiography, Naked Truth, about her cousin Churchill, Churchill's behavior, and how Churchill invited her to make his bust. I quote from her autobiography: "Of all the portraits I have ever done, Winston's was the hardest, not because his face was difficult, but because for him a physical impossibility to remain still. I watched, I snatched at time and moments, I did and undid and redid, at times in despair. Winston would be contrite and promise and say he was sorry and that he knew it was hard on me. And he would sit compassionately for 3 minutes and then begin to fidget." Unquote. Please note, despite her betrayal, particularly her earlier association with the Russian leaders in 1930s, Churchill avoided Claire, but later on, Claire and Churchill put aside their differences during the Second World War and remained good friends. It was Churchill who invited Claire to sculpt his bust. It was not Claire, invited, but Churchill invited Claire to sculpt his bust in Downing Street in 1942 and agreed to give sittings for 2 weeks because she was insisting that I can come, only you agree that you are going to give us adequate time. And finally, if you read the correspondence, then you will understand, finally he agreed. Claire also earned infamy due to her intimate relationship with Charlie Chaplin, whom she exclusively interviewed for her Diary of Great Minds. She recorded, I quote, "It has been a wonderful evening. I seem to have been talking heart to heart with one who understands, who is full of deep feeling. He is full of ideals and has a passion for all that is beautiful." Unquote. Now I'm moving towards Gandhi and Claire's interaction with Gandhi, how Claire met Gandhi, and who was the mediator. After doing some research, we realized it was Sarojini Naidu. She took help of Sarojini. She was determined to meet Gandhi. So sources reveal that Claire was first introduced to Gandhi by poet and political activist Sarojini Naidu on October 2nd, 1931, at Gandhi's birthday assembly at the Victory Hall, Leicester Square, during the Round Table Conference, London Round Table Conference. And there were many people attending the birthday ceremony, and she was there, standing behind quietly, waiting for Gandhi. She just wanted to say hello to Gandhi and expressing her desire, little time, making Gandhi's bust in clay. And there was another gentleman from America, quite famous sculptor in US, Lowe Davidson. Uh, he was there. He was in London with appointment, and Gandhi agreed to give time to Joe Davidson for a portrait. Uh, Gandhi had wanted to meet Churchill, but the latter had refused to see him. We know the story, the relationship between Gandhi and Churchill. I don't have to get into that. But Churchill's son, Randolph, met Gandhi separately and secretly, and that is also recorded. These historical references give us enough indication that Gandhi was perceived not only as a charismatic figure, but also as inspirational leader in Western intellectual circle then. We must not forget that the Maharaja of Darbhanga, Kameshwar Singh Gautam Bahadur, was also a member of the team that visited London for the first and second round table conferences. And there were many Maharajas, even Maharaja of Bikaner was present. The book Courage and Benevolence, Maharaj Dhiraj Kameshwar Singh, published by M.K. Singh Kalyani Foundation, claims that, I quote, the Maharaj was the first person in India to get a bust of Mahatma Gandhi, made by the celebrated artist Claire Sheridan, cousin of Winston Churchill. The bust was presented to the Viceroy of India, Lord Linlithgow, to be displayed in Government House. So the desire was, the bust should be displayed in Government House. After studying several documents, it seems possible that the bust of Gandhi was probably commissioned by the Maharaja for the Viceroy of India. Surprisingly, it was not displayed at the Government House in Delhi, but was sent to the Governor of Bombay as an appropriate home. And why it was sent to the Governor of Bombay, we don't have that information. But what is interesting, Claire's, interaction with Gandhi, and how Claire looked at Gandhi, that is extremely important for all of us to understand. Whatever may be the reason behind the making of this expressive bust of Gandhi in London, the artist seemed to have also developed a huge amount of admiration and respect for Gandhi while making the sculpture. Claire described Gandhi in her diary, I quote, squatting on a white cushion, draped in his white wool chadar. He looked like some exotic idol, unquote. She writes further in her article, recalling Gandhi, I quote, having given a chapter to Gandhi in my book, To the Four Winds, I will not repeat the details of our meeting except to say that while he allowed me to model his portrait as he sat spinning on the floor, it was with reverence that I approached him. I had read about him so much that talked of him with so many Hindus even before his landing in England. Sorry. Lest I be mistaken for a sentimental woman, I will quote the opinion of a fellow sculptor, the American sculptor Joe Davidson. Like myself, Joe too was a collector of celebrities. He had modeled the heads of nearly every president, general, prime minister, poet, author. In his language, I quote, the higher they are, the less they impress me, unquote. He said to a gatherings of friends, I quote, of them all, only Gandhi has seemed to me truly great, unquote. Claire felt Lenin, Gandhi, and Churchill were the three most important figures of the time. When the bust was ready, Claire asked Gandhi what he thought of it. And many of you know Gandhi never ever made any statement or remark on art and aesthetics. He always remained aloof when it comes to art. So let's see what Gandhi says. Gandhi smiled and said, I don't understand anything about it, but I shall miss you. We have become good friends. I shall never forget you. You must come to India. Once you arrive, you will be a guest to every one of us. Claire never visited India. However, she considered Gandhi a great saint. Can we see the next slide? The next slide, please. The bust of Gandhi is now on public display right in front of the textile gallery at the renamed Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj Vastu Sangrahalaya, Mumbai. Thank you. Stay well and stay safe. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mukherjee. As my camera switches on, we actually have two comments already from our listeners, which I'll just state. Mukita has mentioned that this story is so exciting with all these layers that it probably demands a making of a film on Netflix. and probably it's got enough content for all kinds of people to enjoy and enlighten themselves with. Also, we have another comment which says that should we perhaps use whatever you've said in your talk today as a descriptive label next to the piece, because it's such a wonderful story of so many people and so many important people who were running the world, and somehow they all come together in your story. But if there are okay, I can see some more questions. So, sir, I'm going to relay them to you. Okay, Indrashil Rao asks, of course, mentions that how did the object come into the possession of the museum? Of course, you've mentioned that. He's just saying that definitely should be shared with the public when we write the descriptive label, perhaps. Let me see if there are any other questions. Oh, something in the chat box. Yes, so again, congratulations to you for this very appropriate talk on a day today, and I think we all agree, because if as a staff member of the CSMVS, if the Director General spends so much time researching, we have little excuse. So I think he's really made, that's Feroza ji saying so. So I think he's left very little option for any of the curators to complain about not researching our collections, which is fantastic. People are sending in their congratulations for the research that you have done. Also, Renu Parekh asks that if some of the references that you pointed towards are available to refer to online, sir.
Yes,
are there things?
Yes, yeah. About the artist, you can do online research. Even the autobiography, The Naked Truth, is available. You may get the copy. You may place order and get the copy. I've already written and will be published in our research journal. You will get a copy. So everything I shared, reference, source, everything.
Right. Another small comment here from Frankie, who says, this was very interesting. I hope to come and visit once the museum and see the bust. She's from Belgium, and she looks forward to come to the museum and see the bust and hear its story. Somebody's Harsha has commented to say that it's very interesting talk, and this probably warrants an exhibition of all the busts of Gandhiji in India someday. And I'm sure all of them have very different stories. Um, Okay, Firoza ji is asking if this will be recorded and will be on YouTube. Yes, this lecture is being recorded, and yes, we will put it on YouTube for the larger community to hear. Um, Ashok Bakshi is again congratulating you for this wonderful talk. I think everybody really enjoyed the contents of your talk, which have literally unpacked this culture that you found, wrapped up in a plastic. You unpacked it to a great extent with your research. Right. So if there are no more questions, I see one raised hand. Okay, no. Anyway. Yeah, okay, great. So I suppose we can draw this to an end, but in many ways, Mr. Mukherjee has opened up a huge Pandora's box about provenance stories of some of the collections that we have in the museum. And earlier today, when we were discussing, he was mentioning how some of these stories might kind of appear a little dry in the beginning, but once you kind of start unraveling and researching their histories, you fumble upon facts from the past that really surprise you. For example, when he was mentioning that the bust was placed between the two, the viceroy and the in front of Napoleon, what kind of an impact would that have had? And we know that more in contemporary times, Mr. Mukherjee has often asked us to bring the sculpture to the Key Gallery and display it at moments when we are trying to make a point about important social things that are happening outside. So thank you again, Mr. Mukherjee, for enlightening us, and also for informing everyone that next year is indeed the centenary of the museum. And although we are passing through a very difficult year, the form and shape that this important journey and this moment is going to take will be shared with all of you as we pass through the year. But please stay safe and keep visiting the museum once we reopen, and keep talking to us. Thank you.